All right, class, today we're going to explore something really cool that you've probably noticed when looking up at the night sky. The moon. Have you ever noticed that the moon seems to change shape throughout the month? One night it looks like a big, bright circle, and a few days later it's just a thin crescent. What you're seeing is called the phases of the moon, and these changes happen because of how the moon moves around the Earth and how the sun's light hits it. Let's start by understanding that the moon doesn't actually change shape. The moon is always a sphere, but what changes is how much of its lit side we can see from Earth. The sun lights up half of the moon at all times, but as the moon orbits around the Earth, we can see different parts of that lit side. These different views are what we call the phases of the moon. There's a pattern to these phases, and once you learn the pattern, you can predict what the moon will look like on any given night. At the start of the cycle, we have the new moon. During a new moon, the side of the moon that is facing us isn't lit by the sun, so it looks like there's no moon in the sky. As the moon moves in its orbit, we begin to see a small sliver of the lit side. This is called a crescent moon. After a few more days, we can see half of the lit side, which is called the first quarter moon. The moon continues to move and we see more of the lit side until the entire face of the moon is bright and full. This is the full moon. After the full moon, the process reverses and we see less and less of the lit side. We see the last quarter moon, another crescent moon, and finally, we're back to a new moon. The whole cycle takes about 29.5 days, which is why we call it a lunar month. But that's not all the moon does. The moon also affects the tides on Earth. Have you ever been to the beach and noticed how the water level changes throughout the day? Sometimes the water comes up higher on the shore, and sometimes it's farther out. These changes are called tides, and they happen because of the moon's gravitational pull on the Earth. The moon's gravity pulls on the ocean, causing the water to bulge out in the direction of the moon. This creates a high tide. There's also a bulge on the opposite side of the Earth, which creates another high tide. In between these bulges, there are low tides. The moon's gravity creates 2 high tides and 2 low tides every day as the Earth rotates. But here's something cool. When the sun, Earth, and moon are lined up during the new moon or full moon, the sun's gravity combines with the moon's gravity, creating even higher high tides and lower low tides. These are called spring tides. When the sun and moon are at right angles to each other during the first and last quarter moons, the tides aren't as extreme. These are called neap tides. So, to wrap things up, the moon goes through a predictable pattern of phases as it moves around the Earth, and it also plays a big role in creating the tides in our oceans. The next time you look up at the sky and see the moon, you'll know why it looks the way it does and how it's affecting the Earth's oceans. Now let's get ready to explore these patterns ourselves and track the moon's phases over the next few weeks.